works.
One more spot and one more shot for both the Ninjas in Pyjamas and Fnatic. Both from Sweden. One, of course, we heard there, are defending Masters champions from way back in 2016. Now they find themselves in Marseille. It's not at home turf anymore, in fact, far from it. However, the Ninjas in Pyjamas have looked revitalized as they step onto the stage versus a Fnatic who have been on somewhat of an offline winning spree and certainly pocketing their fair share of cash, and they could do so again. But first they have to get to that semi-final. A best of three ahead of us. I'm your host, Machine, and I have two beautiful chaps. Indeed, I have Chad Birchall and Jenko Paunovic. Gents, this is one of the interesting ones. Now, we got, so many curveballs. We were like, so many unanswered questions in the regards of FaZe, Gambit, Na'Vi. There was lots of, in those pre-matches, it was filled with, we don't know yet. And I want to know whether or not that's the same case here when we have NIP and Fnatic both performing to a level that perhaps we haven't seen in 2018.
One of them we do, Fnatic, we know what they can bring to the table. We've seen what they've done already this year. NIP, the roster change with Dennis is still relatively new, but all signs point for good things for NIP, right? Since Dennis has joined the roster, it looked like Rez, Dennis, and Draken as like a trio of the stars, and then Forrest and GetRight, the names who were usually associated towards being the top of the scoreboard. They're still having their games, they're still having their impact, but it's not, the pressure isn't on them anymore. It's on these other, the newcomers to the NIP name.
Yeah, so the NIP name just did best mouse sports in a best of three, Jenko. I feel like that's the biggest feather in their cap, at least here in Marseille.
I agree, especially considering, how in form mouse sports was coming into this tournament, especially when you compare it to Fnatic, right? They beat Tai Lu and then Renegades in a best of three, losing to Na'Vi along the way. So nothing to write home about just yet, and NIP, with how well they've been playing, they're going to be a big challenge for Fnatic.
I think we just have to point out the fact that when Fnatic played against Na'Vi, that it's probably the closest any team has gotten to Na'Vi, who is looking really, really hot. And the third map was 16-14, and it took two back-to-back clutches from Simple to even get Na'Vi in that match. So
absolutely.
Fnatic maybe, with a mental hurdle there in that game as opposed to anything else. So it's a weird one. They did beat Renegades and Tyler, like Jenko said, which are probably easier beats, but then had a really good showing against Na'Vi just to fall short at that final hurdle. Yeah,
and we can look at the bracket because it does just demonstrate not only where they've got to go, which is Astralis waiting there, but also you can see the results of today. And we have just been, schedule fans are loving live. 2-0s and not necessarily the way you would expect. We had Na'Vi, the quote-unquote underdog best mouse. We had Gambit, the underdog best Cloud9, and then we've returned to the world and the realm of predictability with Astralis finding themselves there 2-0. That nuke certainly helping them secure it. Na'Vi Gambit tomorrow, and who will be taking on Astralis? That is the question we hope to answer over the course of the next 3 maps. And before we start talking about maps or anything like that, the Ninjas in Pyjamas project, I want to know how far you could see it going, Jenko, because I still don't know where the ceiling lies. Dennis has joined the team, and we haven't really got to see enough offline performances for us to say top 5, top 3. What would you say is the limit?
I think it depends, right? You have teams like Astralis that, you look at them and you don't think they have the most firepower, but their team play compensates for it, and they can be the best team in the world. For NIP, it's now 2 things, right? Can they achieve a very high level of team play that you consider them, a same type of a team where they compensate for the lack of firepower with that against lineups like FaZe or SK, or are players like Rez, Draken, Dennis, with Forrest there, GetRight, are they enough skill-wise, firepower-wise, to just outmatch everyone in that department. I think right now NIP is in a limbo between the two, where they do both, but at some point they're going to have to not necessarily pick, but focus mainly on one of the two.
Let's just mix up the order a bit here, and actually let's talk about your 3 reasons. I think this could be a nice place to slot it in. Now, you were talking about the ninjas with this one.
Yeah, I have 3 reasons why NIP actually is a much improved team right now since the addition of Dennis and Pida, really. But we'll see if it can
Here it
pop
comes.
up. We'll get
I've got it. Watch this. Watch this. It's just got to get the clap just right.
Magic. There we go. I think the first reason is that they have added a lot of variety to their game, right? The NIP of old was being known as to being one-dimensional, especially on that CT side. They almost never went for some aggressive plays, you know, barring a Opper going for a pick individually, and on the T side it was rather slow and uninspirational. With Pita and Dennis, we see more different setups, aggressive passive plays, changes of pace, and that's really good to see. I think the second big reason is that the young stars have more room now, you know, like the old guard within the team that exists and Freiburg were there. It felt like whoever came into the team, they would have to support the core of the team. And now with Rez and Draken, especially Draken, you can see that he can do pretty much whatever he wants in a round, whatever he feels like. And Rez also has been putting up great numbers, even from the role of the entry fragger. And I think in comparison to that, the third reason is the veteran backbone of the team, right? And here I even consider Dennis a veteran. He, as an in-game leader, has proven to be able to frag convincingly. You know, his pistol skills, I don't think we need to talk about that. But Forrest and Getright, very much experienced players and stars in their own right. Forrest, a guy who will always from time to time have those games where he is very much dominant, and Getright, who had to basically reinvent himself to an extent in some of the set executes. He's the entry fragger, notorious for his lurking skills, and he's had a great tournament so far after having a very poor year and a half even. So I think all these reasons combined really make NIP much stronger.
And just to build on that first point that Janko was making, since Dennis has been added to the roster, they've played all 7 maps, they've tried it out. This is the same thing as, you know, when you change the roster, it's a bit of an identity crisis in where you want to take it, and especially when you change the in-game leader and the coach. And that's something that NIP have done, and it is a completely different team. That's the whole point of this, right? It's no longer, like Janko's saying, it's no longer Forrest and Getright as the stars. These young kids, they get the chance to be that for the team, and now after years of, you know, having people doing the grunt work for them, Forrest and Getright, they're doing it for these kids on up and coming, so it's exciting.
It is absolutely exciting. What's more exciting is it does sound like the players are ready to get to the stage, so let's go ahead and kick off our last quarterfinal.
Feels amazing to make it through the group stage. We had both SK and Mouse Sports and even Valiance, I think. And I mean, it's a strong group to have, and being able to go through 2-0, beating both SK and Mouse feels, I mean, it's an amazing start for our team, and it's looking good. Our chances to make it all the way and grab the trophy is, I would rate them pretty good. I mean, teams have done a lot of shuffles as of lately, switched a lot of the core players, and it's a very new type of competitive CS at the moment, and I feel like we're one of the more stable teams at the moment. Our chances of winning the trophy is goddamn good.
Make it to the playoffs again feels awesome, and just continue getting to playoffs, and we're starting to get more consistent, and it's a good team spirit within it.
Coming in from Grips now, as it is keep finding kills. 3 of them coming in.
I'm really excited to play in the arena because we have missed every DreamHack Masters playoffs, so it's a new thing, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, a couple of rounds for JW. He's still in the air, and he's looking looking very good indeed. 2 kills coming in. Fnatic, ladies and gentlemen, are right back.
I want to wish our next opponents best of luck. You're gonna need it.
Whoever comes should come, because we're gonna beat them.
Playoffs, baby!
Yes, indeed. Playoffs, baby. Marseille, make some noise. 2 Swedish rosters packed with legends and new talent alike. In fact, a lot of parallels to be drawn as they walk parallel alongside one another on that stage. New and old blood.
The biggest parallel probably being that the French crowd is just going to be happy one Swedish team will be out after this one. You know, in the early days it was NIP versus Very Games. After that we had LBLC/Envious versus Fnatic battling for titles, so they had their fair share of rivalries through the years.
I just have to say, I am surprised by the amount of noise these people can generate. Marseille are making a ruckus.
These are 2 huge brands in Counter-Strike, Alex.
Yes,
so they got fans
absolutely.
all over the world, and NIP been here since the very beginning of CSGO. I think they have probably, up with VP, the most fans at any corner. I think if we went to Iceland, we'd probably find some fans out there or something like that.
And I think that's what makes the Masters so beautiful, is that there's the likelihood is that there are people in that crowd that have either watched Counter-Strike or followed Counter-Strike for a multitude of years and never had the, whatever it is, logistics, funds to be able to see those players do what they do live. And now they find themselves finally, hang on, this is in home soil. Hop on a train and you get to see Forrest for the first time doing what he does.
And also 2 teams with very contrasting success when it comes to DreamHack Masters, right? We have NIP who won the initial one in Malmo and had some good runs, and Fnatic who never made the playoffs, even because it always came in the, you know, first one was the Olaf injury, and then they had the roster shuffles and everything and weren't really on top of their game.
Yeah, we need to start talking maps, and I want to make sure you get a couple of words in before they pop up and you don't get to do your big reveal. I know you were looking at the stats, Chad.
I don't think we're going to see Cobblestone on Nuke, Alex. I think that's basically the way this one's going to go down, unless there's a curveball thrown in here, there, or everywhere.
Okay. Yanko, you got any gold dust for me?
I don't know. I think NIP might potentially veto Mirage even, because, you know, that's one of the stronger maps for Fnatic. Is a beast, obviously, in Connector, and between that and Cobblestone, you wonder if they maybe want to throw the dice and see what their chances are on Cobble.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to know what maps they've played us already as well. I mean, we've got to see them truly tested, and we're going to look at them now. Here comes the bans, and it is bye-bye Nuke, bye-bye Cobble. Chad, the Savant, gets it right, and there is the Mirage that Yanko was fearing. Fnatic, very scary on that one.
Yeah, and another problem is the pick from NIP is Inferno, right? Which is arguably the strongest map for Fnatic. Yes, NIP is also very strong on it, but you know, when you play a best-of-3 series, you want your pick to be something you're good or great on, and something your opponent isn't really 100% on.
You'd be pretty happy with this if you're Fnatic. You get rid of 2 of your, I guess, considered worst maps.
Sure.
In case they've only got a 47.1% win ratio. On Nuke, they have 100%, but they only play that once, and that was against Team 1. So it wasn't like they ever pull it out, right? It's just something which came up in a game, and they went, yeah, sure, we can play this map. But Fnatic, for me, stylistically, are the favorites, right? The last, I guess it was 6 times these 2 teams played was all online, one of which was with Exist, the rest has been, I believe, with Dennis, and Fnatic has won all of them, right? Now, it is online. This is the first time they've met on LAN in quite some time, and with the new rosters, we need to keep that in context. But I think the way that, you know, Fnatic, it's not hugely structured. They obviously have the defaults, they obviously have the playstyle that they go to, but the thing that impresses me is their mid-round and their ability to play off each other with chemistry and close out, you know, 2-on-3s, those kind of scenarios. That's where I think it's going to really hurt a team like NIP, who is more structured. They rely on getting those AWPs up. They have a few more set strats. Fnatic are looser, and that, you know, if they get into a brawly scenario, that's where Fnatic comes out on top in my books.
I'm very interested to know, Yanko, whether, well, not only do you echo Chad's sentiments, but also with Dennis being new to in-game leadership, do you not think trying to lead against Fnatic is going to be a bit more of a handful, because there's so many mid-round panic buttons you have to hit?
Yeah, but it's also going to be interesting because Dennis played with them for so long, right? So he knows the intricacies of that team, where do they lean to in those situations, how they like to play their clutches, after plans, and all of that. So we might have a fair share of mind games coming into this one. And against that style, obviously, where there's a lot of mid-game action going on, that's where you want in early game to have an advantage right at the beginning of the round, and that's where those predetermined setups on the CT side or some predetermined strats on the T side can really give you an advantage. And NIP has been improving in that department. They have been getting there, but the question is whether they are at a level where they can constantly do that and disrupt Fnatic.
Yeah, and Fnatic, I mean, one of the main disruptors for their opponents has been this man on your screens. Not only was it in Katowice, which will forever live on as one of those performances that will be attached to his name as legend status, but also, you know, over in China, and over the last month he has been firing on all cylinders.
He's back where he thrives, and that's on the big stage, right? And he's here in front of the crowd, and they're obviously going to be cheering. That's where Floshy does his best work, and going up against ex-teammate, of course, Dennis, you know, on the other side of the server. You always want to get the one-up. You always want to be the first one to recover after the breakup, and this is their chance to do it on land.
Absolutely. I do want to keep eyes on Lekro as well. I'll be talking more about him as we get to do that post-match, just because I really want to see if he can do it now. High pressure, going home, or going to claim the throne.
With Lekro, it feels so weird, right? It doesn't seem like he really feels pressure, you know? It's like sometimes he has a great game on stage and sometimes he doesn't. Same applies to groups. I'm not really sure where the randomness comes from. In his case, whether it's from play style and, you know, sometimes just playing really well and sometimes, you know, being a bit average, but he is definitely one of the main parts of the machine when it comes to winning tournaments, right? Because he's so mechanically skilled in those mid rounds. When you like make a call and when you're pushing into the bomb site, he is the guy who opens things up and enables you to finish the round.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we turn our attention to the other side of the stage, we are glancing through the ninjas, and note in the back of all of these is Pitta, their new coach. Though we have talked about the individuals of NIP, there is the man behind them that often doesn't get too much of the spotlight and is a conversation himself, Chad.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. He was one of the original coaches for NIP, and then
full circle.
Yeah,
he coached them and they won the major.
So, you know, he's obviously got the pedigree to be doing this, but not long ago he was just working at the bank again, and now here he is coaching on the stage here in Marseille.
Then a bit of a trip to California, coaching CLG, then I'm going to go back to my bank. Now I'm going to make some bank in NIP, but I think that is going to be helpful for Dennis and the squad, that he can speak during freeze time. And I also think at a stage like this is where Forest and Getright feel like home. Even they're not the focal points of this team, perhaps at the moment, this is where you would expect them to have a good game.
That last man on your screen, Rez right there, he is the highest rated player for NIP at this tournament thus far. Now, you remember the last time he had a tournament where he just went off, they won it. That was in Oakland. They upset FaZe in the grand final there, and he was in blistering form. Now, he's been countered since then. People looked at his moves. Maybe they've worked out a way to make sure he can't get all those opening kills. Since that point, he's obviously had a chance to grow back into the game. If he can continue the form from the group stage for NIP here, it's going to be much needed, considering we are going into Mirage as the first map, I believe, and we saw what Crims can do towards that connector. Someone's going to have to be able to beat those duels with him over there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, you saw Draken as well on your screens, just next to Rez, not only in the bed in Stunner's fantastic breakfast interview, but also over on the stage. I spoke to him in the toilet. I bumped into him, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm not sure about this bandana. It didn't work out for the Mouse Sports guys. I'm not sure if I should take it off. So if you see him take it off after map 1, of course, Rops and Sunny both experimented with the bandana toggle.
Yeah, I think for the Mirage game, NIP, when they've had good performances on the map, they've had some insane CT sides, being 10+ rounds, really, and that's where Draken was leading the way, and you know, with just pure aggression, jumping through the window, jumping on top of Cat, all that stuff. And how you counter that is you don't really spread around the map as much. You maybe group up a bit more, you make better use of your utility, you have some set executes you go for, and you really try to put them out of play as much as possible with that utility. I don't really think Fnatic is that type of a team. That element of their game is what got them back into relevancy when they brought Golden in, and him and Jumpy and all that stuff, and that's how they look like, for example, at the Major or Katowice, all of that stuff. But ever since they got back from China, it's become a bit more just run and gun, and I fear that on Mirage they can't get upset if they go for that and NIP gets off to a hot start on the CT side. Yeah,
and this is where I was not necessarily throwing you under the bus, but I do have quite the question, because we've seen a lot of Fnatic online. We were working at the ESL Pro League, and a lot of the criticisms and a lot of their floundering online has been critiqued by you guys in the essence of, as you're saying, Yanko, it's very, well, not puggy, but very loose and very much reliant on, oh, let's just run at B with CZs, and it does, to an extent, work. I'm wondering whether you think that's going to change now we're on the stage.
It feels uninspired at the moment, and maybe that's coming off the back of 2 big wins and having to play a lot of matches. They haven't sat down and gone, all right, we need to add a couple more bits and pieces into our arsenal. I'm hoping to see it come out here because it is lacking, right? They definitely need to throw in those set pieces to make things work and make their life a little bit easier, because you can't just be going for those CZ rounds and winning after plants that are miracles. You know, the ones who are meant to be having the magic is NIP.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird one, isn't it? And I mean, NIP are looking more rigid than Fnatic, and I guess you kind of knew that without having to say it, just by saying the organization name, you kind of know what's going down. But I need you to say some organization names. That's right, NIP or Fnatic, it's prediction time. Can I go first for a change?
Sure.
Because I got tweets saying that I'm just going against you two and pretending to look smart. I think NIP are going to win this. Now you can all say NIP and I look smart.
I think Fnatic are going to win.
Fudge! I thought I had it. Okay, why is that?
Like I said, I think, you know, stylistically, this matchup is much better for Fnatic. I think NIP relies still a little bit more on having, you know, full nades, full utility. Getting the AWP in Draken's hands is something which they need, whereas NIP, they can literally have any weapons. Fnatic can have any weapons and still win rounds. Sure. So I think, you know, if it gets to a stranglehold on the economy and it's back and forth, Fnatic are going to come out on top.
Yeah, it's a big stage game.
Yeah, I'm going for NIP. I think Fnatic at the moment rely too much on those, you know, making the game and the rounds messy and then using their mid-round and basically just the individual skill of the players, flushing, clutches, scrims, to win crucial rounds. And I think NIP has been looking really, really sharp so far in this tournament, and I'm expecting that to keep up and for them to go to the semis.
Okay, and with our predictions made, I need the player to watch from the team you predicted. Chad, you said Fnatic. Fnatic. Do you go with your boy Lekro? You said he's influential.
Look, I definitely think he has pivotal rounds, you know, with the Deagle, with all those highlights, but the one that needs to continue the consistency that we've seen over the last 6 months has to be Crimmed. We need him to continue that. He's the player to watch. Everyone else just needs to chime in and have an impact round here, there, and everywhere. His
clutches, man. Something else.
I'm going with Draken. He's the impact player on Mirage, and it's going to be difficult for NIP if they're going to win to close it out in 2. I think it's going to be a 3-mapper, and on Train, heavy map, he's probably not going to feel as much pressure against a domestic opponent.
Yeah, and Draken is terrifying on Train. A lot of people have been talking about just how scary it is to play against someone. Mini Device has been thrown around the desk in the past. Anyway, let's get into this one. Let's introduce your casters. They are chomping at the bit to get into this one.
Absolutely, Alex. This should be another absolute barn burner coming forward. We got a Swedish derby to close out the day. I feel like Fnatic are going to be the overall favourites. I'm not sure whether the boys, the younger blood of NIP, Rez and Draken, be able to perform on the big stage again. They did over in Oakland. We haven't really seen much of that since.
Okay. See, I'm going for Nip Magic here. I think they're too reliant on Crims right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think we have a split.
Even on Mirage?
Split casting desk, split desk.
Yeah, and we're gonna split as well. We'll see you later.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Alex. It is going to be Mirage to kick things off here. Vince, you feel like NIP can pull this one off. The thing is, well, it moves on to Inferno next, where Fnatic are very well versed. Their T side is impeccable. Every single thing they do on the T side seems to work out for them. I think, again, similar to the last series, it comes down to Mirage. Whoever wins that one, if it's Fnatic, I feel like it'll be the 2-0. If NIP can pick it up, though, might be going the full distance, and who knows what could happen in the third map. I'm excited either way. This should be a very exciting affair. The derbies are always a lot of fun, especially when we saw Envious play G2 early in the tournament. That's always very interesting, and the results always very difficult to predict.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to go and say Nip will win 2-0. I'm not going to say it's going to be a comfortable 16-2, 16-2 sort of scoreline. I'm just not sold on the rest of the team from what we saw while casting them. Crims, he was in God mode. The guy was absolutely ridiculous, and he deserves all the praise he gets. There he is on your screen right now. But you also saw the emotional side to him. While he was playing God tier CS, even when clutching, he still looked angry with his team. Even while clutching, he was like, guys, why me?
He did the same thing in Katowice. I think it's just part of his personality, and they still won that tournament. He was punching death then and looked out of his mind in terms of infuriation he was feeling, but there's JW going to be a key part of this puzzle for Fnatic as well.
Mate, even the odds that just came up on the screen were identical.
Yeah.
So it goes to show this is going to divide a lot of people.
Absolutely. I don't think it's clear-cut who wins whatsoever. I've slightly got Fnatic, but Train to close things out. It's very likely we see a third map. NIP always seem quite plucky in the DreamHack Masters. Obviously, they won back in Malmo way back in 2016. But it always seems to be quite favourable for them. Not on home soil this time. We'll be here in beautiful Marseille. The crowd is packed in, and they're sounding loud, and hopefully we get another exciting game here. The one against FaZe and Astralis, it was supposed to be epic. The second map, though, didn't really live up to expectations. FaZe looking a little bit off. Both these teams, though, very aware of what the opposition do. Obviously, Dennis now in NIP used to be a massive part of the Fnatic machine. He was their in-game leader and managed to win 6 tournaments in a row with them before they dropped off. So he's going to be aware of what kind of playstyle they're up against. Whether that comes into play, I'm not so sure. When Fnatic want to change things up, the coaches, Jumpy for Fnatic, and then like the guy said on the desk, Pitta for NIP, definitely done their homework and working out what's going to be the best way to topple their opponents. I think we have done the knife. I'm not 100% sure. If they have, it's going to be Fnatic starting the CT side. And looks like we're almost ready to get into this one. Here we go then, the last quarterfinal of the day to decide who will be our final team to make it to the semis, which begin tomorrow, along with the grand final, just to note. And indeed, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. NIP versus Fnatic. We'll have a look at the buys as they come in. I can see Draken already purchasing that infamous P250. A lot of teams been using that very well. We saw Guardian have an absolute storm on Mirage earlier with it. We'll see if this can do it again. 3 sets of armor, 2 smoke, 3 flashbangs, and 1 kit on the Fnatic side as well. They've got a smoke. And here we go then. We'll have a look at the approach from NIP. 3 towards middle, 2 outside A. Golden holding in towards CT spawn. Gerard's got the bomb on his back. Here come the smokes. This is going to be quite an early commitment, and an A split coming in potentially.
Certainly looks that way. 3 players strong through mid. And well, Flusher, he's going to be the first to claim himself some blood. Alongside JW, Dennis and Forest obliterated, and already the bomb not looking like it may even get planted. It could be the worst case scenario for NIP.
Not going to find a single kill by the looks of things. There it is, the P250. We always talk about as one-tap potential. Does take Flusher. And now Draken, 4 versus 1 Vince. And we didn't see the JW kills, but they sounded very crisp indeed. I'm sure we'll catch him on the replay as just 1 flash remaining. He has got 100 HP. If he has to bomb down here, I'd be flabbergasted. I wouldn't know what to say because it's down in the A site. He's so far away. He's just hoping he can find maybe 1 or 2 kills. Remember, he's the AWP of this squad. So even if he gets 2 kills, that's $600 more. He's already found 300. So any kills are worthwhile for an AWP right now.
That's a very good point. So he's playing more for the future
as
opposed to right now.
He knows he can't win. Just hope they make a mistake. Use his time best you can. There's an opportunity. Can't quite hit the shot, though.
Position known. JW coming up around the back. And he will not miss. So JW, who was pretty absent yesterday, already off to a cracking start with 3 crisp USP headshots.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. NIP don't even get to start thinking about their approach at the A side there. Completely rattled by the USP. Let's have a look at it. There was the first shot. What was the second one? Just as nice. Very crisp. Dennis not able to show us what he's capable of on the pistol rounds. And it will be the force buy from NIP. The scouts being really prevalent here in DreamHack Masters. And we'll land a shot just there, but Draken will stay alive on 100 HP.
Speaking of Draken with his P250, this of course is going to be something that we'll see Flusher do on the T side. He's been doing it consistently as this tournament's been progressing along. But to the here and now, Fnatic with the upper hand. Firepower in their favor. 3 rifles. Still some utility. But Draken instantly into the dome of JW round the corner of mid. And that's going to send shockwaves down Fnatic.
Yep, that certainly set the tone of the round. Lovely shot towards JW. Actually had the M4, I think, in towards the window. Completely removed. And it's picked up by Crims, though. Can he do anything with this time? We'll tell. Golden looking towards apartments. Does manage to get right, at least. 4 on 4. No grenades remaining for NIP. Hoping for another chance at that scout.
Let's pick up the bomb. There you go, Draken. Going to be looking towards mid again. Needs to make sure he doesn't drop the bomb out in mid. Things could get a bit sketchy for his team if that were to happen. And Flusher looks like the prime candidate to maybe pull that off. However, Connector is under control from NIP. Golden, in the meanwhile, having a bit of a nightmare spray onto Forest. He's going to just whip out his sidearm, though, and we'll slot him finally. And Draken has came in for a second scout kill, but similar territory to the last round in a 1-on-3, and the same result will occur. Fnatic 2-0 up.
Exchanging pleasantries in chat. JW does compliment Draken and say, nice shot. And it's a formality to say thank you, which Draken does say. TY is posted in the chat, Vince. Are you that kind of player? Do you compliment when people hit you with a nice shot? Or
I just rage.
Yeah, you just like just get absolutely mad.
Yep,
pour the salt all over the desk.
Incredibly salty, of course.
I think I'm the same. I don't like to compliment my enemy. I want them to realize they were lucky. I normally just type wow or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or some expletives.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here we go. Just a full eco for NIP, and Get Right eats the grenade. Takes a ton of damage right down to 27. Number 3, I don't think will yield much success here for NIP, I'm afraid. They've got one flash. We'll try and just get in towards the site. Flash A does this a few times this tournament. Stays on the USP, and we'll be looking for blood.
And you'll find it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you have it then. Flusher with the USP, JW with 2, and make it a 3rd. And return the favor onto Draken. Not quite as spectacularly as a 1-tap, but a kill's a kill all the same. And whereas Fnatic have conceded kills in the previous 2 rounds, that will not be the case here. A clean sweep.
Not too bad at all, was it? Only 3 kills picked up for NIP, and they're all courtesy of Draken. He won't be able to get an AWP, though. He goes for the AK-47. JW, on the other hand, 6 kills, 1 death. He'll bring out the AWP straight away, Vince. And this is a slight bonus round. I'm not going to get too carried away with that. It's just 1 MP9 for Golden. He actually uses that weapon a lot in gun rounds. And a FAMAS for Electro, saved up from previous rounds. And Forrest looking for that cross. Looks like a fast A approach here. 1 player towards middle, trying to storm their way in towards the A side. Golden will drop the right-click flashbang, or smoke, I should say, in towards the A ramp. And he's got players in front of him. Now he can't challenge. He has to wait till they commit.
Needs someone to back him up as well if he wants to get more than 1 kill. Won't be happening. Draken and Rez. A dynamic duo, both with headshots, but JW answers back. His AWP is going to sing this time. Lecro going to try and make the most of a flashed up get right, who won't be able to lurk his way to a kill this time. But Dennis very much could, and he could be in the thick of the action. There's the first frag. It's down to a 1-on-1. Bomb is planted for Dennis. On the other side, Lecro unlucky. You have to drop down, or maybe not. You'll just have to drop Dennis by landing a beautiful headshot.
Ice cold killer. Lecro, that was really smart. He doesn't even have the kit. He doesn't panic whatsoever. Dennis looks like he's absolutely outpositioned him, outplayed him. He's the veteran here. And Lecro, he really came onto our screens in Malmo, the tournament, where he didn't manage to win, but he was in godsend, and everyone realized how good this kid was. Now finds himself on Fnatic. You can see he just keeps getting better and better. That was incredibly smart. Drops the smoke on the bomb to suggest I'm going for the full defuse. You can't hear that. Dennis has to peek at some point, waits for it. Perfectly played. That's really nice CS from Lecro. Next round, bomb planted. 4th state loss bonus for NIP. We're going to have AKs, but look at the distinct lack of utility, Vince. Not really much to work with at all.
See, quite a few teams would drop down to maybe a Galil or 2 to afford a few more nades.
Exactly, I agree. You're not wrong at all there. The Galil should be coming out at least 2 players to have a bit of execution potential. They'd still have 2 smokes, but this will be a rough round. Forrest hoping that Flasher gets a bit aggressive towards short there, but not going to happen. He falls back, and JW looks for anyone trying to find the first pick towards window.
Exactly where he was a menace 2 rounds prior with an M4. So Nip will tread lightly on eggshells. If they peek him, he will pounce. He's been playing solidly so far, but that smoke is
not ideal, is it?
Not too great. He can still see out through short.
He knows they're going to try and boost with this, and if he gets 1 kill and gets out of there, they won't be going for it again. Molotov him behind him. He's still got presence here.
They have screwed up both their nades. JW will not be expected to peek at this stage. As time goes on, though, they will give it more caution, and now Rez is looking up there. So JW's had a shot, and he's backed away. Crims, though, up close, where he was really playing masterful Counter-Strike earlier in the event. Has 25 seconds to go. All 10 players alive, though. This is a recipe for some real chaos towards the tail end of this round, and Get Right is the first to pounce with an entry. Crims now realizing that connector isn't the issue, and he'll put down 3 players in quick succession, and in doing so, that should be the round. 7 seconds, they have to pick the bomb up, and they have to get across, and Crims has got a 4th.
This is just unreal. How does he keep doing this? Time's gone, and Dennis will get no money, just a note at the end there. You call Crims out, they can't rely on him. Vince, they certainly can. What in God's name was that? From the jungle, no one's even looking at him. Where's the smoke? And that's why if you buy up with nothing, you're going to be hamstrung when you go towards the A side. You haven't got the utility, you haven't got the Molotovs, the flashbangs. You have to take the risks. And he will decimate his opposition there. It's going to be just Deagles and a 5-0 scoreline. No armor, apart from Forrest, of course. He takes himself down to $1,800. Dennis, remember, he got no cash there at all. He still buys a Deagle. He's on 650. He might have been dropped that. I'm not 100% sure. But my God, that's just going to get Crims fired up now. That's something you do not want.
fact that they have JW on 8 kills already, a lot of his frags have been nice flick shots with either the AWP or the USP, even the M4 he was doing solid work with. A jack of all trades so far. Doesn't bode well for Nip. Still early days though in this best of 3. Na'Vi, Gambit, and Astralis wait for them in the semi-finals. Which of these two teams will come out ahead? So far it's looking like Fnatic are the favourites to claim a very solid halftime score.
I think you might be right there. What a flying start they've got here. This is their pick. Fnatic will be holding the lines. No one has to overcommit here. Very scary to peek the deals, JW. Comes out on top, and Flusher just trying to back him up now. Players everywhere, wallbang from JW. There is a nice shot from Forrest. He's got the helmet, and it will at least keep him alive for a little bit. Dennis, Pistol, Master, only gets 1 though. 6-0. Finally, money looking decent. We might see a Drakenor for the first time. He's got 6k. You'd assume that'll be the case. JW, I want to see what the wallbang shot looked like. Okay, right through the corner of the wall. Wasn't too crazy in the end, but still, he manages to stay alive. 6-0 achieved. AWP out for the first time. No double also Fnatic just yet. Certainly can roll with them. Nothing change in terms of the aggression side for Fnatic. Playing a very default round. Flush up. He can AWP as well. He's actually the secondary AWP before this team. Watch out for that. Both players trading shots and both receiving a ton of damage. Draken down to 35, but I guess he comes out slightly better off with JW on 16.
He does. Talked about this yesterday though. If you have an AWP, as long as you've got 1 point of health, you're still very much a threat.
Yep. That's why you see a lot of teams throw over to AWP even to a rifler when he's got like 3 HP or something.
It does, however, mean that JW can't be as aggressive as he'd like to be.
True.
There's 1 nade and he's pretty much gone. But, of course, he's going to play aggressive. It's JW we're talking about here. He doesn't know passive. It's not in his vocabulary.
He holds towards the Delpan angle right now. 1 minute remaining. No real map control coming in. They have got towards short, and then IDP, then mid control. So I guess there is something in their favor. Rez is in towards CPL. JW really is tempting fate here. A lot to do, and he knows Rez is there. That mid shot's going to cost him his life. And now it's an open B site from what I can see, but the NIP have got CTs rotating in from every facet of the map. Luckily, Rez has a lovely shot. Golden can't do the same though. That was a freebie. Can't connect it, and he probably goes down now. Difficult to recover from these sort of plays.
He has stalled the bomb plant a little while longer, but absolutely, that should be a kill. He could have then changed his focus onto the site itself. That could have been the determining factor here in round 7. Could be Nip posting their first round.
Should be at this point.
That Crow goes on to Rez, but he's been heavily hurt in the process. He's down to 19, and he will be finished off by Draken. Crims, a man on fire. Maybe about to get doused, or not. There's the first. He does have a kit as well. Doesn't have any nades to spring back onto the site with. And Get Right is just going to play patient. Just going to use the angle. Tapping the bomb will be Crims. Get Right shows himself, and it's all about wasting time and wasting heads, and he's done just that. Welcome to the scoreboard, Nip.
They get there, and luckily for them, the money's actually quite low for Fnatic. Last round, they kept 3 players alive. Before that, 2, then 1. So they haven't been swelling in terms of their finances. That key shot from JW was obviously influential, kept Rez in the game. And then Golden missing a key opportunity at a free frag. And I agree with this with Fnatic. You had enough money to get some sort of a buy here, but you've got a 6-1 lead. Why risk it? Let's just make sure we have the best possible half. Give nothing away, and sure, PT50's Deagles, no armor, not even partial buy really. I call this pretty much full eco. And they're just going to be looking at the bigger picture. They'll have a nice healthy buy going into the next round.
Pretty standard setup so far for Fnatic as well. Some teams might try a gimmicky stack. Not the case here. That Crow goes down. And surely Flusher will be to follow, but he has got 1 before his inevitable demise.
Yeah, shouldn't be too much of a troublesome round now for NIP. Just 2 players, JW and Crims, looking to sniff out these last 2 low HP players. That'll be Get Right and Draken. Looking towards the window, that's where Crims is, and he'll try to bait out the fact he jumped through. Crim's surely dead at this point, but that's one of the low players down. Like I said, that AK, that would help them out a lot into the next round. He's going to try and take it out of his hands, and if he can just stay there, they'll probably go down to the bomb blast. So he can just wait until the last few seconds, knife out, get towards spawn. Dennis waiting, he knows there's a chance. Draken needs to be incredibly careful. There it is. Well played by Dennis. He might go down. I think he's fine. Time will tell. JW looks for anything he can. Not going to find it. Like we said, money is going to be pretty decent now for Fnatic. If they saved the AK, there would have been a really good spot. But not the case here. NIP with 2 in a row. And now we're starting to get a game on our hands. This is the Swedish Derby, our last quarterfinal of the day. NIP versus Fnatic. Winner will book themselves a place in the semi-finals tomorrow. Well, again on either side, and all 5 players for NIP. This is more of a fast-paced approach. This won't be an execution. The flash attack, we call this, 3 players in Palace. Here come the flashbangs. Golden only good for 1. JW fully blind, but still pulls off 2 shots, backed up by Crims. This is looking very promising now for the Fnatic side.
It's hard to see them barrel out, although they have managed to molly and then finish off JW. That opens up a lot of space. Still 1 minute and 30 left. Goes to show how rapid this attack has been. Now Flusher off the staircase. Witnesses a Molotov trajectory. Suggests the player is still around Palace. That's going to be Draken. Bomb planted. Watching Forest back by peering up through CT side. Flush up, spray to perfection onto Forest through triple box. And now Draken faces a 1 on 3. Good news for him is there's no incendiaries going to be firing their way towards him. Bad news is he's missed his shot. Crims, of course. Who else?
Double orb setup picked up for Fnatic. 3 players surviving. Take that 1 eco. Sure, it will cost you a round, of course, but come right back in, more comfortable buy instead of having to force it up with shotguns, SMGs, CZs, trying to do what you can. And there you go. They actually throw away the secondary orb just to know they're going to go with the AK instead. They feel more comfortable with just JW orping right now, it seems. Don't need to change things up. Everything looks quite comfortable. And that was, like I said, I call it the flash attack. Then he sent 3 players towards Palace. Couple of basic smokes, very basic ones. 1 spawn, like 1 jungle. Throw like 3 or 4 flashes over, then the 3 try and get out of apartments. You can see that JW, sure, he was flashed, but he was still hitting shots.
Yeah, he did so much damage. He got a kill. I think he also tagged a player up partially through the box, down to like 10 health. He got finished off briskly afterwards. Kraken's going to eat that grenade. Loses just over 1/3 of his health. Bomb still dropped way back towards the T-spawn though, so there's going to be no fast set plays just yet. Mid control really hasn't been assumed either, so they're very passive position so far.
Absolutely.
Not gathered much intel at all.
This is a very slow, passive default. They're waiting for Fnatic to push the envelope towards him, you know, like try and see whether they're getting patient, will they try and hunt for a frag, will they try and get some mid control going on. So far, no. A resounding no, as Fnatic hold right back. They've still got their smokes, flashbangs, Golden for the incendiary as well. He's yet to really make his mark in this first half. Here come the final few smokes from Fnatic just to hold them off a little bit longer, buy themselves another 15 seconds or so. Forest makes his way towards connector. Crims this time not inside. He's actually on the site itself. Golden on the balcony at A.
Crimson Golden, as he highlighted, on the A site. Going to allow them to pivot over to connector if they need. Flusher needs to have a bit of impact. He may feel the impetus to go right here, right now, and try and help his brothers out on A, but they don't need help. Crims is there for 2, looking for a 3rd. Won't be getting it, but in getting 2 players down, he's really thinned out the herd, and now JW is going to do the rest. They've also got the bomb dropped and a player on CT. Draken, Glock of all weapons, not ideal for this trade, and he cannot do anything. Get Right has died elsewhere. There's 7 seconds left. Fnatic have done it.
Yeah, will he get away? Oh, he's going to go for the repeak. Brave boy. And he'll take Lekro down. And he'll survive, but no money gathered at all. The bomb wasn't planted. Crims, he seems like he's living up to expectations again, Vin. Same sort of performance here. Golden, he is having a bit of a mare on the A side, but Crims keeps bailing them out. 2 kills there. That was enough. JW from short of the AWP. And you can see this frag, it looked unlikely with that player towards the A ramp. I think he did a bit of damage to the 3rd as well. Kept the dream alive. Get Right couldn't get the plant in. Pretty much full eco for an IP. They have that saved orb. Remember, Draken gets no cash for this round. He needs to find an opening quickly. Can't quite get it. Actually gets tagged up in the process. Down to 22.
From JW, his opposite number. It's been interesting that the two of them have butted heads often in different positions. They've been B-apps, mid, now A.
It's true, and that's the calling card of a very good AWPer. It's unpredictable. You can't really plan your T-side assault around him because every single time he'll be either B, middle, palace, just changing things up. And Flush is in a spot of bother here. He'll do significant damage, back it up with a grenade as well. JW misses, would be an easy shot by his standards, but still, Flusher, certainly not. He's hitting absolutely everything right now. The AK-47 mowing them down. Lekro will chime in as well. 5 players surviving, bomb down, and Draken needs to try and save the AWP again. Remember, no money in his account right now. He'll get $2,400 into the next. That's if he doesn't save the AWP, which is looking very unlikely at this point. You can see them triangulating around his position. Players coming in from the B apartments. That's JW, Crimson T-Spawn. They've got him locked in. He ain't going anywhere. And here it comes. Final kill. Clean sweep from Fnatic. And in terms of the cash, Vince, they've got 4 players on 4K. Draken, 2,500. So he'll probably have to take a Deagle and some armor. It's actually more favored to get the Deagle on the T side of Mirage. Obviously, lots of long-range duels, and his teammates will be on rifles. So this is actually turning into a bit of a nightmare for an IP.
This is how I felt when I was a kid and I realized magic wasn't real.
Yeah.
The first time. The disappointment.
Magic.
You know, you pull back the curtain and you saw all the contraptions. Oh,
yeah.
Broke my heart, it did.
Yeah. For me, when I found out wrestling wasn't real, that was the biggest heartbreak, I think. When I found out The Rock really wasn't as cool as he thought he was. I was really fighting for that for a while as well. I was telling my friends, no, come on, that is real. This real fighting. It's got to be. But, yeah, I know what you mean. Buy will come through. It was a timeout from NIP. There's Forest. He did scream, playoffs, baby, before the game started. And unfortunately, their first map and their playoff run, not looking too good at all. Like I said, Deagle for Draken, 4 AKs, and they've got a lot of work to do here. 9-2 down, and another round where they're going to have to make compromises.
It's going to have to be an uphill climb, for sure.
It's 9-6, 10-5, still fine.
Yep.
That's unlikely, though.
Absolutely, especially considering that, again, they've dwindled all their economy. Draken, as you said, has gone for the Deagle. So they like the firepower. And JW again, aggressive.
He loves it. No AWPer is thinking about getting that angle, but he's just right in there.
Flusher, that's just pure time put into the game. And that nearly got a 2-for-1. JW heavily tagging up Rez through Dennis, and Crims will be able to finish off the rest. Switching to his AK-47. Get Right has been put down in his place.
What is that? How didn't Get Right get that kill? He had the intel. The call comes in. Sandwich just has to pre-fire it. The Crims too quick. 2 versus 1. Forest, flashbang. Bomb on his back, AK-47. Has time on his side. Works towards B, but there's no way they leave this side open. And will be Lekro ready and waiting by the bench. Forest probably finds this. I say that, doesn't even get a chance. Lekro ready and waiting. What a performance from Fnatic, and Crims again making them look amateur. 3K per player on the NIP side, and this game really isn't heating up just yet, is it?
It isn't if you're a NIP fan. If you're Fnatic, it's a beautiful temperature. Yeah, it's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that whatsoever. Timeout for an IP. No threat to fall on back to now. It's going to be Pitta, who was actually the coach that led them to their major success all those years ago. Dropped out to join CLG, actually. Well, I think he had a bit of a hiatus in between, but now back with NIP. Yet to win a championship. I did say at the beginning of the year, once I saw the new lineup with Dennis, I do predict them to win at least one tournament this year. Might not be this one by the looks of things, but still very early on in the best of 3. Problem is, Inferno is where Fnatic make very little to no mistakes, and if they lose here in a convincing manner, could be a quick trip home. We'll see. Round number 13 coming in, and I think it's a full eco, Vince. Just, okay, the partial buy coming in. I thought they'd just take locks. They go with CZs, Deagles, and some armor. These are the sort of rounds, though, that seem to work out just when you need them. So don't think this one's over just yet. All it takes is Forest and his amazing Deagle, or CZ. He hasn't got that this round to open things up, and you never know.
Draken, the right idea that somebody will be lurking on window. It's going to be JW. He's now moving around. Crims additionally is going to come through. Connector at the right time, but he gets plucked out from the backside. Draken is there to strike for a second. And you said sometimes these rounds just have a habit of working out, and it's not far off being the case.
Well, JW looking to ruin all of their fun. He comes from the connector. Draken luckily gets the hell out of dodge. 2-on-2, Get Right tagged up. They have got armor, 1 HE. This is still anyone's round, though. What's he? Oh, he's trying to find the rifle. I was going to say, you're just going to use a USP right now. I'm sure there's an M4 there. Indeed, there is.
Has found it for himself. Get right. Maneuvering his way through ramp. Making the trek over to A site, but they still haven't covered a lot of angles. And I'm not entirely sure whether someone could be perched up and chilling in Palace. And that is going to be a constant doubt in the back of their minds. JW coming down towards short. Bomb planted. Planted for ramp. Jungle or connector. The idea here is maybe to try and fake as if there's going to be a player in the ramp side. Now Get Right's actually going to go in there instead. I thought he may play somewhere like Shadow and try and screw with the minds of Fnatic. This is a must-win round, you've got to say. If NiP are going to come back into this map, it has to start right here, right now. They cannot afford to lose another close one. Smoke goes down onto the side to draw out Draken, but there's JW around the corner for a second. And Fnatic having no chill, just constantly destroying NiP.
Even when they come close, it's still not going to be close enough. 2-on-2, JW shuts them down. Quick defuse. And we find the 11th round there for Fnatic. Here he is, getting it done, upgraded to the M4. I say upgraded in that scenario is much better off. As you can see, operating very efficiently. Single-handedly takes them down, and we go into round number 14. What a quick half it's been, Vince. Orbs out for Draken again with JW. He's currently got 17 kills. Him and Crims just going to town right now. Good damage inflicted by Flusher. Crims gets the call. They've crossed towards middle, and he'll be waiting for his chance to pounce. Lekro goes first.
Easy pickings for Fnatic once again. Crims using the smoke to his advantage. Dennis will get the kill, but it was laboured. He's down to just 6 health. Will get finished off. Rez, though, does get the return frag, making amends. And another bomb plant will follow.
They keep planting, but they can't convert the rounds. Another 3-on-3. Rez with good control, but Lekro doesn't miss many shots so far. This one no different. JW at the very same time finds a frag. Draken, another 3-on-1. He surely hits this job. Spotted him, but oh my goodness, they're not missing a single thing. This is a perfect game, Vince. This isn't even difficult for Fnatic right now. This is absolutely spot on. NIP are removed. This might be done already. We might be thinking about Inferno. They have got the perfect retakes. Perfect shots, good teamwork, flashbangs are on point, utility dropped at the perfect time. NIP can't break this fortress that Fnatic have built.
This is a level of performance that we witnessed in the previous best of 3 from Astralis.
Tell you what, I want Astralis Fnatic Grand Final.
If they're both playing like this, it's going to be an epic match.
Well, here we go, the final round, finally some luck. Double orb set up on the T side. It looked like Flusher was getting the double spray down. Crim's certainly thinking about some more kills. The Forest is going to execute him in the side of the head. They're going to get the last, surely. Lekro left in the 4 versus 1. What an affair it's been. They will get the third, but Lekro will still give it a good go.
Yep, with the bomb transitioning through the T-spawn. They're going to be taking it to A, where Get Right has already cleared as much of it as possible. So bomb will go down. Lekro just making sure that no one is trying to rotate through B, get himself a kill and make the odds a little bit more sustainable. Now knows that the bomb is on A. He's got Forest in window, who he has spotted and will kill, but it's not a clear-cut frag. He's down to 21, and that may not be good enough. He's making a lot of noise, and Draken, with his Glock, is going to make sure he won't get the clutch this time around.
Great half from Fnatic, and speaking of great things, his stunner on the show floor.
Great games indeed. You know what? That was the 3rd round there for the Ninjas of Pyjamas, but I'm sitting next to the Sponge, the big Australian himself. Sponge, give me a little bit of a diagnosis. What's going on here, man?
Mate, Crims' impact in that first half was insane. He had like 6 or 7 multi-kill rounds there, and JW, his intuition was on point. You saw like 2 rounds ago, just swinging out wide on that jungle guy. No one is there, clutching up that 2-on-2 scenario. Fnatic firing on all cylinders.
So, Chad, you got a little bit of notes here. Can you show the audience at home what it is exactly that you're working with?
No, I like to keep my notes secret until the post-game. At the moment, they're just doodles. It's a masterpiece.
Well, perhaps you just jump in and tell us that you want to see what his notes say by using hashtag DHMasters on your favorite social media platform. And guess what? It's time for Hin Hin and Vin Vin to get back into the action.
Not sure about that moniker is given us there, but still, you know what, I'll take it. Hen Hen and Vin Vin. We'll get into the second half, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the packed crowd in here in Marseille. There's Sponge. He who was singing Crim's praises. You weren't really feeling it. You thought the Crims might not show up today, but maybe he's proven that he can.
Well, for me, the bigger issue was that even if Crims does show up, will there be supporting cast members there? Will we have JW? Well, yes, is the answer. Definitely. Will we have Lecro? Yes, we will. Will we have Flusher? Hell yes. And now they're going to look to try and push down on the A site and get themselves a second pistol.
Here we go. Trades to kick things off, but Draken has managed to get a kill in return. Get-Right will go down to 11 HP, and the USP just not connecting. Get-Right really playing a fire here on 11 HP. Crims, it's an absolute maelstrom right now. Will be trying to find anyone else he can. Bomb planted. That does give them an advantage here. Kit available for Draken. Let's see if he can use it.
The main surprising part to me is only 2 players have died. There was so much carnage and make it a third. Get-Right wants to make sure that his team at least get into this second half with some rounds. Crims, though, is going to pick up 2. Oh, it could have been a third. And he does get the third, to be fair to him. But Draken, Smoke, Defuse will deny the round. Even when Crims loses, he's still winning.
How scared are you in that full defuse? He's hitting every single headshot. They're dropping like flies. Everyone's shouting, he's coming! And you just have to hold on to it and just pray that he doesn't find you. But he found 3. It wasn't enough. There's going to be a force buy here, Vince. Let me tell you that for nothing. If you get 4 kills, a bomb down like that, give Crims an AK. Let's see what's going on here. They don't go for the full investment. We've been calling this a tactical purchase. Simple does it a lot in RV. You give your star player an AK, let him go to town. Not going to work out just yet, but my God, it starts to deliver. Takes down Dennis. Lots of damage inflicted, though, and it should be an NIP round. Not if Crims keeps this up, though. It's absolute carnage here in the second round. Crims finally goes down, and that should be the round.
JW wishes he had the bomb at this stage, although he's going to meet Rez anyway. MP9 against the Glock. There can only be one winner. And although JW does land a cheeky little dink at the end, it's going to be the way of Nip. For a moment there, though, I feared the worst. When Crims just land that first one-tap in window. So ridiculous.
They're not out of the woods just yet. They still are going to be buying up in this third round. The objective there was to keep them relatively poor. And Crims getting 2 kills certainly helps out. They will have an MP9, 4 and 4s, 1 AK actually for Forest. Crims on the Deagle, Golden on the CZ. Flashbang's really only to work with, and they're going to send 5 players towards A. There's a couple of smokes actually.
There's not a smoke on CT, though, so Get-Right is going to have free reign to just go crazy, but it has been cut short. Get-Right, only 1 kill before he falls. Lecro in for a second. A revitalized, rejuvenated Lecro. Is he going to be hot enough to get more? Crims with a Deagle being tagged down to 17 behind the box. The remaining terrorists are pretty clumped up, and Crims has decided to make a dash for it, but that's into the crosshairs of Draken. Rez with another one, and now it's Flusher. He's going to spray in for a second kill. The bomb's not planted for him. It's going to be very close. The bomb will get defused. But all of Nip die, and that is going to hurt them in the long run.
Ooh, they're definitely going to buy Fnatic again. Flusher, another round where NIP get through by the skin of their teeth there. Vince, that couldn't be closer. Flusher just sends out a message at least. You know what? You might be able to win this round, but it's not going to be easy, and you're going to have almost no money for the next round. Takes all the guns out of their hand. They still get 3 M4s here, and the AWP for Draken, so we'll see if they can find kills here. JW certainly can. It's up to Draken to find the trade. He will do, and he's got backup from Forest, who runs up towards middle with the MP9 in hand, finds 2 kills, and the bomb will be dropped. 3 on 1 now, and finally, I think NIP have quietened them down. This won't be a round where Crims will be able to run away with it, surely.
I wouldn't bet against him right now. But yes, more often than not, this should be a categorical round for Nip. That smoke used to sheath very aggressive Forest. That MP9 work was pretty damn good. Over a minute to play with, though. One of the perks of all the kills going down, quick succession, Draken point-blank range, needed to land that, and he does. So the AWP will be moving through into round 20. And we'll see Nip 12-7 behind. Very important round, though. If they lost that, they would have been broke.
Forest with the hero player, the MP9, knowing his teammate was caught in the open, guns it up towards middle. And NIP back in this game now, Vince. That's going to be 3, make it 4 rounds in a row. After Fnatic tried their best with the 4 spies. 12-7 is the scoreline. They'll take a partial bite, knowing they've got maximum loss bonus in the next round. If you're not aware, if you're a casual Counter-Strike viewer, that's $3,400 after losing 5 rounds in a row. You get more and more money the more rounds you string together in terms of defeats. CZ's Deagles, 1 smoke, and HE grenade. JW with the CZ. Same story for Golden, the rest of them on Deagles. Flusher doesn't purchase armor here. His money a little bit less than others, I suppose. Retro working towards the apartment. Dennis finds the first kill. Might have to convert this to 2. It's getting a bit dicey now. Kraken, though, good recovery.
Ooh. Very close to landing the second shot. Crims can count himself lucky this time. Lecro, though, going to be bursting out onto B. He wants to try and get round the back of the CTs. If he can get into kitchen, into window, maybe there'll be a kill waiting for him. Draken is there and very low. And judging from the CT's positioning, they don't realize this is coming up.
I'm getting butterflies with this play. This could be nuts.
The first switches to Rez, but misses his chance. Going to spin around, misses another one. But now Crims, at least one player has been taken off the table for him. 32 seconds. You can see the bomb from his perspective, just below window. That smoke to the right is clearly causing him some doubts in his mind as to what's about to come up.
Shouldn't be able to find this 1D. They just need to play the timer right now. He hasn't got the bomb. And Rez does hear him. He's sure he gets the free frag now. After he fires that bullet towards the vent, he will be able to find the round. That's 5 in a row for an IP. Lots of work to do, but this is looking quite promising now. Fnatic, that lead dwindling away, but this is the first full buy, really. Can't believe I'm saying that. 5 rounds in a row for an IP. They'll still be on the single AWP setup, but so is JW now. 19 kills to his name. Crims must be on, 25 and 12 after 20 rounds.
Lights out stuff. JW on 19. Flush up is on 17, looking to add to that tally, but instead he will get burnt alive. Definitely not my choice of the way to go, but he will, of course, be back in the action in round 22. Smoke into window, and one also on catwalk will mean that Forest really doesn't have too much of an idea as to where Fnatic currently are trying to make a move. Another smoke into connector as Forest goes up for the peak, but he's going to get himself tagged heavily. His kneecaps blown out by Forest. Or by JW, I should say, pardon me. And he will back away. Oh no, get right. He's moving in the perfect place at the perfect time. And the bomb's been dropped down as JW will follow it. That could be the play that secures Nip this round.
I think you might be right. Lovely stuff from Get Right up to Golden now. Down in T-spawn, and it's not getting any easier at this stage. Get Right keeps applying pressure. 4 on 2. Not out of it just yet. Not while Crims is alive. 35 seconds. They still have so much to find here. I think one of the players has to just bow out and say, right, I'll go get the bomb. Crims, I'll leave you there. Good luck, my friend. Now flash towards CT spawn. Maiden as well. Could do some considerable damage. Not quite, though. It's Draken and Dennis waiting on the other side. Crims just hoping to stay alive until Golden can go for the plant.
That is the state of play. Crims waiting, biding his time to strike there. The first, not a second. Can Gold pick up where he left off? Can he pick up the slack? Yes, he can. He's got 1 more kill, but 4 bullets in the magazine. He has time to reload. And Forest is going to get the frag onto him. Golden felt pressured. He didn't know where Forest was coming from. And Forest has just saved them and averted that crisis.
You could see he wasn't happy about it, though. Forest is giving them a good telling off, wondering how in hell that, God's name, that happened, you know? The fact that they had a 4 on 2 and Crims is still finding multiple frags. Golden's getting 2 and they've got both of them in CT spawn. Go together, trade them out. There shouldn't be any sort of input like that. That frag should be straight away from Rez. The fact Golden even recovers that is quite astonishing. Plant comes in, gives Fnatic another buy. That's 6 rounds in a row for an IP. They're onto the double AWP setup now. Dennis, no stranger to the AWP, who was actually AWPing a lot through his Fnatic tenure. As we see the spray come through from Forest, no bullets connecting just yet. Another 22. NIP looking for double digits. This could be working out for them. Who would have thought they'd get back into this game?
Especially after a 12-3 first half. They're 6 rounds back-to-back. eyeing up a 7th. Early portions of this round have afforded Fnatic opportunities through mid. JW clutched up, going to jump into window. Ren's going to pop flash his way through into ladder. In fact, he takes the charge, takes the fight to Fnatic. Will claim one. Flash out into a peak. We'll see JW ravage get right. And then he hopped right back out again, so he's really screwing with the minds of Nip. They have to relocate.
Man advantage now for Fnatic. Draken has been hitting some decent shots today. Problem is they've got 2 orbs up against the 4-man formation of Fnatic. So if the bomb gets planted, it's going to be really difficult to get themselves out of it. They need to avoid that at all costs. Try and be aggressive. Stop players getting close to the site in terms of the setup. Dennis and Forest hold B. Draken alone in A. He's currently sat watching CT spawn. You can see him doubting himself. He doesn't know if players can come from the vent. This is not looking good at all. He really is doubting his position. He pretty much has to let them plant at this point, Vince. Once he hears the bomb going down, he can't really challenge it unless they give him kills for free. At least that gives up his position, but here come the flashbangs.
However, Forest has died. That has certainly put a wrench in the works. Dennis and Draken, not a kip between them. Only a flashbang. And they're making the correct decision to save. Will they be allowed to, though? I think that Dennis is all right, but Draken's going to have to move past the murder hole, and this is where he's going to see JW, who will claim the kill. Very weakened, but that has significantly cut short how much Nip can bring into the next round.
There's been so many clutches, Vince, so many 1v1s, rounds where Fnatic have brought it right down to the wire, even though they had a massive deficit. And from that, winning that 1 round there has actually left the majority of NIP with no money. I was about to say, if Dennis saves the orb, that's great, but that's no longer a prospect for them. 13-9, $2,000 per player. Take a pause, boys, because you need to decide what the play is. I assume they take an eco. If they force buy this and lose it, they'll be 14-9 down with no money again. Tactical pause. I think it's too late to call it.
It was too late. They have to play on.
You have to play on. You can't call anything now.
What a massive mistake that is.
Why wouldn't you just call it?
Why would you stall on the call?
Oh,
maybe it gives you an insight.
And the thing is, well, that has upset you even more. You're just like, oh, for God's sake. Too bad. They're fully can now anyway. It doesn't really matter. They weren't going to do anything in this round regardless, right? They'll still be able to discuss next round what's going to happen. Great work from Get Right. You can hear the grenade being pulled, and he now gets the AK-47. He might not get a chance to use it, though. Flush is just going to town on the A site. 14-9. All of a sudden, a great string of rounds almost feels forgotten. He gets $1,900 next round, just a note.
That is always the risk that you have when you've had a horrendous first half. You can go on a tear of rounds, but as soon as you make one mistake, it could all be over anyway. Of course, Get Right has no intention of even going close to the bomb right now. Dennis is waiting for an exit frag. No reason to save the USP, of course. It doesn't look like he's going to get that opportunity. Macro checks Delpan. Now Get Right is in full survival mode. Spinning around, making sure he's not being aggressed on. Crims 26, JW 23. Get Right dead.
He needed that AK. Wasn't worth the challenge. And now, Vince, they've got $3,000 on 3 players. Draken can afford the orb. The timeout comes in. If I'm a Fnatic, I'm throwing a complete spanner in the works. I'm not saying I rush B, but maybe I'm considering it. You know? I'm thinking about it quite intensely right now, but Draken has the orb. He has to be the talisman here. He has to carry them through this round. They can't sit back and have a default setup. Just not an option. They really do need to think of something clever. They're going to have SMGs available. Get Right gets the FAMAS. Dennis for the UMP. Rez yet to buy. $3,000 left. He could go for an M4, which he does. Gets a decoy with it. That's when you know you're a bit desperate. He's like, well, $50 left. Might as well give it a go. See if I can use a Teton against them. Becro using the good spawn. We talked about this before. Looking to get that opening frag. It's actually Crims takes down Forest. That was towards middle. And it's a 5-on-4. This is such a perfect start for Fnatic. All you have to do is sit back and wait now. You know their money's low. What have they got left?
You know the money's low, you know the patience is thin, and they may feel pressured to go and look for kills, may go pressured to look for fights. Play right into the hands of Fnatic. 5 rounds ahead. Should be mentioned, this is their choice of map.
Yes.
So with the end of the world for NiP, of course, it's more the manner in which they've lost that would be causing some concerns.
Oh, Mirage as well, you can't really say we don't really play it. Every team plays Mirage, you know, so it's not like you can say, oh, we're not really good on this one. It's a map they play a lot. JW gets another excellent shot to take down Rez. The B side pretty much wide open. Draken has to start hitting shots now. 2 of them at least required. Can he get anything done? Misses the first, and down he goes like a sack of potatoes. 5 on 2. Dennis and Get Right. Oh, it's going to be map point, Vince, and all they can save really is a FAMAS and a UMP. It's not looking good whatsoever. Dennis can take down Crims, at least can save an AK. That looks almost likely at this point. And JW gives up an AWP.
Get Right. May have half a mind to go back and retrieve that, but for the time being, it's worth keeping his FAMAS. Just to make sure that he can spray his way to survival. Staying in close enough proximity that he could pick up the AWP if he so chooses, but Fnatic wisely move in and make sure it's not going to be an issue they have to contend with. This is where the FAMAS is going to struggle up against the AK-47s, and Lekro puts him to rest.
Definitely worth the hunt there, knowing that an AWP was given up, an AK, their money is non-existent. They've got 3rd stage loss bonus, meaning they'll get $2,400 into this round from 0. That's going to be scouts, FAMASs, UMP, shotguns, deagles, that sort of stuff. We'll see what they bring to the table. They're not going to take a pause from what I can see. That's the trophy everyone's fighting for. And indeed, shotgun, deagles, CZs, and there was a scout, but that's been removed from the server, I'm afraid. JW, nice pick as they home in on victory in the first map of this best of 3.
He found the information he was looking for, and he got plastered. Crims hoping that Get Right would have pushed him. Flash up and over. This, of course, in direct retaliation to a potential ramp push, which Fnatic are flirting with the idea. Mag 7 goes in for 1, but no more. That trade is not good enough for NiP, and it's looking like Fnatic will be taking the first round, and indeed, well, the first map, pardon me, of this best of 3.
Yeah, one more consolation frag there for Rez, but I think he knows as much as we do that this is absolutely over. Great showing from Fnatic. A good resurgence for NIP, I'll give them that. They managed to string together a ton of rounds here in the second half and at least make it a competitive game and look more forgiving on paper. But all I'm remembering from this is the Fnatic dominance in the first half. Rez doing anything he can. He has got a kid. They know exactly where he is, though. All 3 players can just watch his position, wait for the bomb to run down. He'll get 1. I don't think he'll be finding much more. It will take something absolutely magical at this point as he makes his way towards the bomb. Surely it's the end, takes the shot, and there it is. Fnatic pick it up 16-9. Great showing from Fnatic, and it moves on to Inferno next, and that's going to be picked by NIP. Problem is, Fnatic have looked amazing on that map as of late. Crims, amazing game. JW, same story. Golden, pretty absent, but didn't really have to do much. Flusher as well. You were looking out for those big names to turn up, and we certainly got a few of them.
Whereas on the NiP side of things, the same couldn't be said.
Yes.
We didn't have the big names showing up. We didn't have, you know, vintage Forest or vintage Get Right. We had a fairly lackluster performance that, to be fair, was put that way because of the dominance of Fnatic.
Well, there we go. There's going to have to be a lot said over in the camp of NIP. I was really hoping they could turn up today. But like I said, even if you do get battered in the first half, you can do whatever you can just to get everyone warmed up and used to the environment of the stage. It is very different. A few of those guys haven't been there a ton of times before. You think of the Drakens, the Rezes. Obviously, the old guard will be absolutely fine up there, but you just need to kind of get them back in the game. It felt that there was too much pressure on Draken there. He was in so many 1-on-2, 1-on-3 situations, won a couple of them, but overall, that was very convincing for Fnatic. Now, Vince, we are going to take a quick break. We're going to get ourselves a drink. You guys should do as well at home. And we'll be right back with Inferno to see if Fnatic can close it out.